president seemed fairly blindsided yesterday by the defections on the health care bill. As the White House pivots and moves over to tax reform later in the summer, what are you going to change at the White House to make sure that he has a pretty good sense of where the votes are on tax reform as that legislative train starts moving through the tracks?
The same thing we've been doing, that's continuing to have ongoing, regular, consistent contact with members of Congress. Ideally, some Democrats will want to participate in the process moving forward on a number of issues, including tax reform, and maintaining that open line of communication as the president often does, meeting here with members of both the House and the Senate, as well as having regular calls and also having members of his administration in touch daily with both leadership and members of both houses.
And as you know, the debt ceiling vote is coming up later this year. Is there any plan to have the president reach out and make a case personally? And if he does, what is that case to lawmakers up on Capitol Hill on the debt ceiling itself?
Yeah, in terms of actual tactics, I think we'll make those decisions as we get closer to that point. Certainly, I would expect the administration to be engaged in that process throughout. Blake?
Thanks, Sarah. Let me ask you a couple of questions about health care. The president said a couple times in his remarks a little while ago that at this point he'll just let, quote, Obamacare fail. Why is it acceptable policy to let Obamacare fail?
I think in large part, look, Democrats have refused to join in fixing the health care problems that have plagued our health care system, specifically in large part due to Obamacare and Obamacare's failures. And that sort of, I think, behavior is simply unacceptable. And hopefully, with the collapse of the program that they put in place, they'll be more willing to come to the table and help clean up the mess.
Another comment about the timing going forward. The president said, quote, something will happen and it will be good. It may not be as quick as we had hoped, but it is going to happen. He also started talking about 2018 and the need for more Republicans to get elected. So I guess in the short term, is it realistic for some sort of health care agreement to happen before the August recess even, as the administration and Republicans on Capitol Hill have been hoping, or is this a much longer term horizon now?
Again, as we've said many times before, we're less focused on the timetable and making sure we actually get it right and get it done. We're continuing to focus on repealing and replacing Obamacare with a system that actually works, and those priorities and principles haven't changed.
So is it possible that this is a post-recess, maybe even a 2018 event?
Ideally, I think it happens as soon as possible. But again, we've been clear about not saying by X date, but more about let's get better coverage, let's get a better plan and a better program. That's been our focus, not the timetable. Sure. John?
Sarah, three Republican senators, Collins, Murkowski, and Capito, have come out against this idea of repeal. Collins, not surprising, she voted against it in 2015. But Murkowski and Capito both voted for repeal in 2015, and now they're saying they're against it. Is this thing dead before it even leaves the barn?
I think the thing that's dead here is Obamacare. I think we've seen that it's completely failed, and at this point Congress needs to do their job, and they need to do it as quickly as they can, because every day that they don't, we go further into collapsing under Obamacare. And so I think that at this point inaction is not a workable solution, and so they need to come to the table and figure out how to reform the system and fix it.
So what do you say to these two senators, Murkowski and Capito, who voted for repeal in 2015 but now say they won't vote for it in 2017?
I think we say, what the vice president said today, do your job. It's time for Congress to do their job and do it now.
Speaking to members of the House, Paul Ryan a short time ago said it's pretty difficult to explain to your constituents why you voted for something 2 years ago but aren't voting for it now. Is that the tack that this White House will take as well?
I think that's something that those senators will have to answer to their constituents. That's not something that the White House has to answer on behalf of those members.
Yeah. Will the Trump administration take actions to move Obamacare towards collapse, like stopping CSR payments or other things that have been threatened before?
I don't think that the White House has to take any actions for Obamacare to collapse. I think you see the evidence every single day. You've got dozens and dozens of counties that have no options on the exchange. Premiums continue to skyrocket. I don't think the White House needs to do anything for the failure to continue.
But what about those CSR payments to insurance companies?
I don't have anything further than where we've been the last several months on that. Nothing new to update.
Can I ask one more question about the Afghan girls?
Why stop now? We're on such a roll. Everybody's having a good time.
The Afghan girls robotics team is here competing down the street. Ivanka Trump went there and visited today and met the girls. How does the president find out about some of these individual cases that he's interceded on, like Aya Hijazi or the Afghan girls team, and sort of what ends up moving him on these individual cases?
I mean, I can't speak to every single way that he finds out about information. Obviously, he has a large staff and an administration that pays close attention to a wide range of issues, and this is something that was flagged and something that he took a great deal of interest in making sure that the problem was solved, and it was, and we're excited that they're here.